A lot of engineers today and a lot of engineering teams today which want to create AI applications, whether they are a startup, whether they are enterprises, they are thinking AI as a feature. And boom, in a click of a magic, you have a chatbot that answers all of your document, understands entirety of your database, and can project well about what are the things you have to go and do in the next quarter. 2 years ago, when ChatGPT just launched, I was really excited about its inception and I was really keen on to developing some things. I went on to learning about vector databases. I went on to learning about simple features of creating chatbots using AIs. And then I started by joining a startup which was working in generative AI field. And I worked there for 2 years. After working for 2 years closely with AI and generative AI specifically, I learned about a lot of things about AI, integrating it into workflows, creating a complete AI application, and how that can be put to use. But I made mistakes as well. And I was looking around, I was trying to figure out how to build these applications and how they would be performing at scale. And after 2 years or more, when I reflect back on things, I did a lot of mistakes. So, hi everyone, I am Siddharth, and I am a backend focused AI engineer, if you want to say it. And I have been developing AI applications, specifically applied AI and generative AI applications for the past 2 years. And I am noticing kind of a real problem in building AI applications. That is, a lot of engineers today and a lot of engineering teams today which want to create AI applications, whether they are a startup, whether they are enterprises, they are thinking AI as a feature. They basically want something custom made solution that can come in-house in their systems, maybe use some XYZ libraries out there that are there and just integrate it and make sure that this runs perfectly. And boom, in a click of a magic, you have a chatbot that answers all of your document, understands entirety of your database, and can project well about what are the things you have to go and do in the next quarter. For real, when specifically people are discussing about integrating AI, they are calling it as that would be just a chat endpoint that would be creating, and then it would be serving every use case that we want to. It would be going and searching and doing the tool callings. It would be integrated with MCPs. It would also have its own agentic workflows, and everything would be monitored. But well, this is not just a feature, it sounds like a proper sync plan layered by layer, and you need to really look at it as a feature. And that's what actually made me think that what the real problem is. The real problem is that still today, not a lot of people know about what are the real downsides and what are the actual trade-offs that you have to make in order to create real AI applications when you're specifically talking about applied AI. And that brought me to think about the AI layer, and then I started the project Proto. So before understanding the entirety of Proto, what is it and how it's actually functioning and what are the things, let's try to understand what it was done previously. So taking an example of a web application, the core things that actually goes into a web application are the front end, the client, the server, and its database where all the databases are stored. So specifically, when you think in terms of that, you want to make sure that you are building a system which is having a proper separation of concerns. Its code is properly modular so that you can use it to different uh, needs whenever it's needed. And you have a logging system, you have a email systems and everything when you're thinking in terms of an normal production grade AI, not just AI, if you're thinking just in terms of a full stack application. So that brought me to think that why we are not treating the real AI applications that are going into production as real entire systems rather than we are thinking as just as a chat endpoint or just as a normal demo project. When I started to connect the dots between a real backend system, how its modularity works, and why there are different layers specific to different use cases, I started to think AI just not as a feature but as a complete layer itself, as an infrastructure layer itself, where the ground and foundational things are the same, but what we follow in a normal backend system. But it's also derivative of the style in which we actually write the code for any backend layer that we are going to add. So let's understand what we do in a proper normal project set of a backend system. We basically go around, we initiate the application. That initiation leads us to create the routes, the services, and the real business logic, and then connect it with the database. And along with that, we also try to make a modular layers for config management, for loggings, and for email services and extra third-party systems. So this is a proper modular structure that does not hinder with any of the other items or layers. It just operates individually, and you can extend it, you can repurpose it, you can change it, and you're set for a very flexible architecture that's going to work for long term. But when it comes to integrating AI, then everyone starts to just think of it as a feature. I've been emphasizing a lot on the code feature because I did this mistake myself. When we were creating the AI application modules, we were not integrating directly into the layer. We were just coding it the way that these platforms are giving us uh, yeah, their SDKs and everything. So let's now connect and really get into what Proto is. So here what I'm sharing is the screen where in the left side you can see the documentation, you can read it as well, and you can understand more about the proto. But if you see this graph itself, it explains the bit of things. Normally, generally in a backend structure, what happens is you clearly break down all the layers of a backend system and you mention what would be the config layer, the data layer, if there would be any docs or something, middlewares. It's a proper Node.js backend structure which we are following. Okay, it has the routes, it has the database layer, it has the config management, and many more. Then when you really see, then it comes an AI layer which I have added, which is not a usual case when you're talking about the backend infrastructure. So here's what's happening. um, it's divided into core elements, and if you know any bit of AI, then you understand that ChatGPT or any sort of a model that you see out in the world, that is taking it all the context of an LLM, processing it, and just reversing and providing you the generations back. It does not have a brain of its own, it does not have a proper active knowledge base, it does not have any memory. It's basically stateless. That simply means that whenever you enter into an AI application, then it has got its own set of things that it does in the background so that you can get the perfect response that you appreciate AI for. So those same layers I have divided and I have written down my own architectural design, and that's what I'm calling Proto. So that was it about this video, and hopefully you were able to get the point about why you need to start looking AI just not a feature but as a complete infrastructure. And as I go along in the journey of building Proto in public, I'll be sharing more details, the trade-offs that I'm making, the progress as it continues. And the next video is going to be about that only, that how I build chains and what is the structural decisions that I took. Basically, I just took a decision not to go with LangChain and to write my own LangChain in a way. So that's gonna be an interesting one. So see you there. Bye bye.